Okay. Welcome to the coaching call, guys. Welcome. Thank you. We're on YouTube. We're going to record this as a podcast. We're on Instagram and we are on Facebook live stream. So if you guys have any questions, there's some folks on Instagram, there's some folks on Facebook watching. So welcome. I haven't spoke for like 2 weeks, but I'm back. Today's coaching call is going to be called live stream. Is going to be called Unlocking Peak Performance with Neuroscience. This is by me. So let's start this off with why. We always start everything off with why. So neuroscience, to break it down, is the study of the brain, how the neurons are connected. It's a fancy word. The reason why I'm doing this podcast or this live stream coaching call is to tell you some techniques, some things to think about, some concepts and whys, and how you can actually train your brain to increase capacity, increase memory recall, help with energy management, stress. So managing the brain, this is your operating system right here. So it's extremely important to actually keep the brain healthy and do exercises for the brain. Earlier in the 20th century, the 21st century, this science is starting to come out that neuroplasticity is actually like it actually works, but it's not completely mainstream as where I learned it. It's not from the news, it's not from watching media. It's actually doing thorough research, listening to podcasts, reading my own books, and putting this coaching call together. So again, I'm not a neuroscience. I didn't go to school like Andrew Huberman, but I do listen to his podcast. I do read books about brain, and I've done some of my own brain work. So I could share some of my insight. I am not a trained neuroscience, or I didn't go to school for it, but in practicality, I'm a life coach. So I use that information and apply it to coaching, teaching people how the brain works and how important it is to keep it healthy, because this is your operating system. Without your operating system working fine, the rest of it is just kind of, I don't know, what you say. This is the most important part of the body, and we'd actually need to physically or like actually train it. So that's the why, right? You could refer to a lot of like books, podcasts, that neuroscience is a thing. You could actually change the neurons in your brain, and we're gonna talk a little bit about some of the endorphins or the neurotransmitters that work, and how to get this into peak performance. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about neuroscience and how lifestyle really affects the brain and how it works. And part of what I coach and teach is flow mastery, and it's starting to eliminate a lot of the things that you know right now. As you get older, as you get more conscious, that has you more habits and everything, it's actually a process of more unlearning. So some of these exercises might be or some of these concepts might be counterintuitive of what you have been learning or what you've been thinking, but be open-minded. And neuroscience is a thing, and we're here to make it stay and like make people healthy. So that's the why of the coaching call, of the podcast. So let's talk about neuroscience. We talked about the science of peak performance. To really get into this peak performance state, like flow of just memory call, of just things just moving, you do have to train your brain. You understand that? I said it earlier. You have to train it just like you train every other body part or every part of your body. And we're going to talk about some of the techniques in there, how to use it. Okay. So neurotransmitters, just two neurotransmitters that we have to talk about. So neuroscience, we're going to talk about the brain right here. So the anatomy of it, I'm not going to go over the anatomy of it. I'm going to go over two main things that you need to understand about the brain, and then if you wanted to look up the anatomy of it. So this is the prefrontal cortex. This is basically like how you see things. It's basically like the mind's eye. They call it the mind's eye, the third eye, the prefrontal cortex right here, right? That's basically your perception of everything that you see in the world. When you wake up, right, you start to see the dog barking or hear the dog barking. You start to see the sun come up, you're interpreting this with this area, right? It's the prefrontal cortex. If you see an accident, that's where you're starting to analyze it right here, and that becomes imprinted in your brain, and that's what causes traumatic events. So if you are interpreting something and it changes your wiring of your brain to see something, it could trigger other parts of your brain and turns into like physiology, and sometimes it could give you bad what is it, neural, I don't know if it's neurotransmitter, but it could trigger different types of hormones like cortisol, to kind of like really screw up your nervous system. And that's what kind of like, how do you explain trauma behind it, is like what you see and it affects your physiology in that way. But it's basically the process of you interpreting it with this part of the brain. But so for the brain science, you got to understand that, and then you got to understand this other part of the brain that's called the pineal gland. It's a fairly newly researched part of the brain. I know a lot of people aren't so open about this knowledge, but a few people that teach this is Dr. Joe Dispenza and Wim Hof. He teaches a breathing technique to open up this pineal gland, and the pineal gland is dead center in your brain. You can't see it. It's not exposed to light or anything, but this is what actually you could change some of your senses and how you reframe things if you're activating this part of the brain. And you can actually activate this part of the brain, and this part of the brain is Rene Descartes, the French philosopher, calls this is the gateway to the soul, right? So it's like a spiritual hormone. So this, if you're interested in going this route and unlocking this and having that extra attention or flow focus, there's breathing techniques to unlock it, right? But there's cold showers, there's breathing techniques. It makes you become more, in the personal development, it makes you more of who you are. It's your spiritual hormone that gets released through DMT release through the breathing techniques. So that's one thing that I've been studying. I want to, share that, with my audience members. If you're interested in learning more, just let me know. There's breathing techniques and exercises and how to look at it. So the two neurotransmitters that we have to understand is dopamine and serotonin. So dopamine is often called the motivation molecule. It's crucial for driving goal-oriented behaviors, focus, and rewards. It fuels your motivation to start and continue tasks. It sharpens focus and provides a sense of satisfaction when you achieve your goals. Balance of dopamine level is essential for maintaining motivation, consistent performance. You can naturally boost dopamine through setting and achieving small goals and regular exercise and practicing gratitude. So dopamine is that motivation, is the energy, is that high. And I recently listened to a podcast by Dr. Andrew Huberman, is that there's a baseline. So if your dopamine goes up really high, it does come, and eventually it will come to baseline like that, right? So if you have like a line, this is baseline. If your dopamine, like if you're goal-oriented, ambitious like me, and you hit a whole bunch of goals, and then there could be kind of a downside to it, but eventually it comes back down and comes to baseline. And some other drugs, like say cocaine, if you take cocaine, it releases a high amounts of like dopamine, and then the crash is like really low. So that's why you can see there's a big like crash in it. So these neurotransmitters you have to balance. That's why there's a little bit of philosophy behind it. And then you got serotonin. You got the feel-good neurotransmitter. So this is dopamine and serotonin. You could actually control this or just be more aware of it and conscious of it. So let me read what the serotonin is. Serotonin is known as the feel-good neurotransmitter. It plays a key role in regulating mood, promoting emotional stability, enhancing well-being. It helps maintain a positive outlook. It stay calm under pressure, build emotional resilience, and we're all vital for sustained peak performance. Balancing serotonin levels can be achieved through exposure to sunlight, a diet rich in tryptophan, and mindfulness practice, ensuring you remain stable and focused. Okay. Was a lot, right? So how do you achieve serotonin? Those things like having a healthy diet, working out, yoga, meditation, taking breaks, That's how you get that feel good motivation, or feel good to balance out that motivation, because you can't simply go and without any like opposite side, because without that you become burned out, right? I've been there, you probably been there, and you just want to make sure that you have this balance of motivation and also like the opposite would be like restful work. Well, like active rest, right? So if it's like work intense for 6 hours, there should be a recovery period as well too. So when you're in that flow state, it's super concentrated, and then also be that other side of it where you actually have to balance it out. Okay, so let's talk about some techniques. Good thing I already thought ahead. I did a NLP podcast with my coach Guillermo Molano. If you go back into one of our podcasts, it's called NLP for Rewiring Beliefs. This is exercise. This is like if you would actually go to a gym, work with a trainer, and actually do the work. Right. What I'm speaking right now is just information, so you guys get the belief that brain science is real. You could actually change it. So neurolinguistic is exercise for the brain, right? And exercising the brain, like everything else, there's benefits to it, and it's also very hard and also very challenging, right? Because you have to go and reprint, go through some memories that you probably don't want to revisit. A lot of people don't want to revisit memories until you are committed to rewriting your story. You have to go back to rewrite it, right? Because if you're not, especially when it comes to like trauma, because trauma, the only way to really heal it is to rewrite the story. And NLP is a way for you to go back into that storyline, run it through, create something else, and make that story empowering, right? So that's what I did with my coach, and I'm teaching that for you guys. There's a podcast that I put out there, so if you want more information, go watch it. If you want to go work one-on-one with me, so we can get you some of these tools, some of these run some of these exercises, so you can actually resolve some of these things that you're working on that might be holding you back, that you might not be seeing, right? Those thoughts that recur, those limiting beliefs that hold you back from really stepping forward into doing the thing that you should be doing, right? Guys, thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. My name is Sam Nang, and I just wanted to take a moment and thank you guys for listening to the Flow In, Flow Out podcast. It's been great to have your support, and I want to tell you a little bit more how you can support the community and how we can support you as well too. So if you like the Flow In, Flow Out podcast, the message that we're putting out, the information, the content, please subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel on Spotify. Please like it. Please share it. Please share an inspiring message. It helps with the algorithm. It helps get the message out to people that need it. So that would be greatly appreciated. Now, if you are in need of more personal development support in those areas of physical fitness, nutrition, mindset, spirituality, anything in that type of area, please book a discovery call with us. We'd love to help you. We'll get some time on the schedule to chat about what your struggles are, how we can help you, and we'd love to support you on that way. And if you are interested in being a part of being a guest on the podcast, please let me know. If you have an inspiring story, you have something that you want to share, if you have a message that resonates that's similar to what we're sharing here on the Flow In, Flow Out podcast, we welcome you to be part of our show. We're super excited where the growth and the community is growing. So we look forward to having you here, and we look forward to working with you. And thank you guys so much for the continued support and the love. And we'll continue to keep putting out the good vibrations out there to help elevate the collective vibrations. And thank you guys so much. and fully committing. All right, cool. So dopamine management. We talked about dopamine and serotonin and all these other hormones. And maybe just speak about this, about how you feel and about your energy. And that's why we do like meditation and yoga. I know it's not mainstream to do yoga and breathing techniques, but if you want to manage your energy, your hormones, and get a good feeling of it, yoga and meditation is probably it takes time, it takes effort, but for me, it's easier than going to the doctor and getting medication and doing that, right? It's something that I could do anywhere. Really, I could go to the gym. I could take a break in between coaching calls and, reset myself. This thing is here. It's with you, right? So learning how to breathe properly. We're actually not taught how to breathe properly. It's one of the funniest things. I was watching another podcast about it, is that breathing is the first thing that we do when we're born, right? We breathe, right? The doctor slaps you in the butt so you could cry. You know that your lungs are open and everything, but you're actually not taught how to actually breathe properly. And one of the things that people do is they breathe up here from the lungs, but you're actually supposed to breathe in from the diaphragm, this area right here. And when you breathe here from this area right here, you get more oxygen to the body, and you just become overall a better human, right? Singers, when they sing with the diaphragm, when athletes use this, when people are presenting and they're using the diaphragm, they're more oxygenated, they have more energy, right? So changing from your breathing from your lungs to like the diaphragmatic breathing is the proper way to breathe. Most people breathe just here. It's really shallow here, and sometimes you could do it, you can stay alive, but it's not the most efficient and most effective way to breathe. So that's why we have breathing techniques. And when we talk a little bit more about breath work, that's part of one of the other things that we could do to help with the brain, right? So breath work and DMT release. If everybody knows, I studied this breathing technique from Wim Hof. So this is called a Wim Hof breathing technique. So it's like I believe it's called box breathing, but I call it the Wim Hof breathing. Is where you breathe from here and then just let it out, relax. Sometimes I push out to get more, but you don't not necessarily need to do it. Right? And then you're breathing. Depending on how your fitness level is, that's how you develop your starting point, right? I started off with 3 rounds, 30-second breaths, and like 10 to 15-second holds. Another guy that I've been watching that is probably like 60 years old, he could hold for 4 minutes. So just like anything, right? Breath work is exercise. It's exercise, guys, right? There's no shortcut around fixing your nervous system without exercise. Okay, so that's the point that I want to drive home, is that you have to exercise your nervous system, the breath work, to release this, so you could understand how your hormones and everything work together and how they tie together, the neurotransmitters and the other the other hormones. But when you do the breath work, right, the breath work releases, if you do it and if you're trained enough, if you're ready for it, the pineal gland will open. The DMT will release. Some people, and I've talked about this in different podcasts and different things, people go to like Costa Rica to get the ayahuasca to get this experience. But this experience, if you are committed to it, right, if you want to do it, release the DMT and get this extra sense. And it really does help with life. It gives you this type of intuition where you're interacting with somebody. If you're coaching somebody, you could actually feel them and understand how emotions and energy feel. But that is the hormone that is inside your brain that can be released through breath work. Okay, so how you perceive things is a reframing technique. right? If you see things and you see the your world when you wake up, it's raining, you know, cats and dogs and spaghetti and meatballs, and it's doom and gloom. That is what you're training your brain to focus on. Okay, so it's not just this, oh, just focus on positive things. You actually have to do active things to make sure that when you wake up, because as you get older, you have a lot of responsibilities. The more you focus on negative shit, the more negative shit will happen. So if you learn and reframe and do this exercises and do the work and really understand and really believe that, you could actually train your brain to focus on more positive and be more optimistic, you can, right? It's about training the brain and really putting that work in. Some of you guys out there putting that work in there and just hoping on miracles and motivation, but there's work behind it to get to this state, right? You could actually change the state of your brains, and it's a very powerful technique. If you need extra coaching on it, let me know, LMK. So what I'm gonna do now is share a little bit about some actionable foods, nutrition, right? Because your brain itself, when it gets exercise, needs to be supported, just like muscles need to get supported with protein. Your brain is mainly fat. I think it's, I don't know the exact percentage, but let me read the description and why healthy fats matter to your brain. Wrote this down. So healthy fats are not just fuel for me. They're a foundation of structure and function. They help maintain the fluidity of cell membranes, support neurogenesis, the creation of new neurons. You like all these fancy words that I'm putting together? They're all involved in the synthesis of key neurotransmitters. Additionally, these fats provide anti-inflammatory benefits, protecting the brain from damaging and aging. Incorporate a variety of healthy fats in your diet that can support cognitive function, improve memory, enhance mood, protects against mental decline. For optimal brain health, it's important to include sources of healthy fats like avocado, almond butter, ghee, grass-fed butter, eggs, fish oils, and your daily nutrition. Let's go. I can nerd out on nutrition. All right, so we got avocados, right? Love avocados. Avocados taste fantastic. Put some nice mineral salt on there. You got healthy fats, vitamin E, and then you put some salt on there, like Himalayan sea salt in there, and get the those electrolytes in there. You got almond butter. So something about almond butter, I actually keep almond butter here on the side and in between when I'm doing like a lot of like thinking and like very hard brain work. I could feel like I actually need some almond butter, and it's very easy to eat. And I'll drink it. Make sure you drink it with water, hot water, too, because having almond butter gets stuck on your throat. It kind of sucks. Doesn't feel good. Ghee and grass-fed butter, and I wanted to note there, grass-fed butter, not just regular butter, right? Grass-fed butter, there's something different. There's if it's not grass-fed butter, it has more of that omega-6 in there. So what you want to do is get to that omega-3s. We got eggs, right? If you're gonna pick eggs, let me give a little bit of eggs. There's organic, there's free range, and then there's pasteurized. Uh, there's the little nuances on there, but of course you want to go to the highest quality. And I believe it's not free range pasteurized. There's one of them. It's not organic. It's free range pasteurized that is the highest, and then it's organic, and then just a regular. But having those omega-3s in the fish oils is good for hormone production as well too, and regulating it. I eat heavy on eggs. I think the eggs are like the perfect food. It has fats, proteins, minerals, easy to cook, easy digest, and healthy for you. So keep those hormones up. And you got walnuts, you got chia seeds, coconut oil, and flax seeds. I'm going to skip them because I don't eat those too much. But if you like them, they're on this list. All right, guys. So that's pretty much it for neuroscience and how to keep the brain healthy. Hope that inspired you to train your brain, right? Be more mindful of what you're actually putting inside your brain, and not only of what you're listening to and what you're reading or who you're at. Like, think about like what radio you're looking at. Think about, or radio, what TV, what social media, what things you are consuming, because that is your basically fuel for your brain. If you want to be a more optimistic and positive person, you quite want to listen to things that support those ideas and the people that support those ideas. If you want to be more optimistic, if you want to be more joyful, you want more happiness in your life, be around those people. You could tell if you're in tune with your own energy and how you want to do it. But the best thing, guys, it is a lifestyle. You have to understand that your brain is what keeps you young. It keeps you. So if you're not committed to it, you will be aging. Like, there's science behind it that everything starts with the brain here, right? Your thought process starts here. And if you're thinking and you're okay with aging and just accepting that fact and that paradigm and that status quo, you're gonna age, right? So it really starts with how you see and how optimistic you are with your life and how your age. But it really dials down to your lifestyle, right? We talked about food, we talked about people, what you consume, we talk about where you interact and what you do for work, who you talk to. Think about that stuff, right? Those are all inputs. It's just as important, right? Like, if you ate a chicken and that chicken was eating trash, garbage every day, you're going to be eating the exact same thing, right? It might still be a chicken, but that chicken is going to be eating trash, garbage, and everything. That will come into you. So same thing with what you're watching, same thing with what you're reading, same thing with who you're hanging out. If it's trash, trash in, trash out, right? That eventually, hopefully that makes sense. And then that was a good coaching call. Hope you guys liked it. So embrace the power of neuroscience for peak performance. So we're going to wrap up today's session, and I want to leave you with a powerful reminder. The key to unlocking your peak performance lies within you, and neuroscience is the map that guides the way. We've explored how understanding the brain's inner workings through the roles of neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, and the profound impact of healthy fats can transform the way you approach your goals, your health, and your life. But knowledge alone isn't enough. It's actions you take, the small but consistent steps that will truly make the difference. When you apply these insights, whether it's by tweaking your diets, practicing mindfulness, or setting clear, achievable goals, you're not just working your body or your mind, you're reshaping your brain, creating new pathways to success, resilience, and fulfillment. Remember, the journey to peak performance is a lifelong pursuit, and it's one that requires both patience and perseverance. With the right tools and deep understanding of how your brain works, you're capable of achieving more than you ever thought possible. So take what you learned today, put into practice, and watch as you unlock levels of peak performance and well-being that go beyond your limitations. All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining me on this call. If you guys need any additional support, let me tell you how you could reach me. So I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube. Those are my three main platforms. I'm on LinkedIn as well. I mean, literally, you get a hold of me however you want. I linked all my links together. If you are interested in leveling up a little bit, learning some tools, having a different outlook on life, or whatever that you want to work on. If you're stuck and plateaued in a part of your life where you're trying to see things a little bit different, trying to make like a little breakthrough or a big breakthrough, or reframe your whole life, right? I urge you to book a call. This is something I'm extremely passionate about. I love personal development and coaching people so they could be the best they can. So I love putting this coaching call together. We have podcasts for free resource. We have live streams that we could support you on. And yes, I urge you, action is probably the best thing that you could do after listening to a podcast, after reading a book, after taking a course, is to take action towards what you just learned today. If you're interested in taking action, just book a discovery call, and then we'll see how it goes. All right, guys. Thank you guys for listening to the live stream. Some people were talking. There's a lot of people here. Wow. Yeah, let's go. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching. You guys have any questions about the live stream? You're trying to level up your brain? Let me know, LMK.